Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Short warning before we begin, in today's main story there is mention of physical abuse, so if that's a topic that makes you uncomfortable, you can skip the first story. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, Would I Be the A-hole Public? And it's by user MiriamBerryWright203. My best friend's girlfriend dragged him and his mom to my house at midnight to confront me about our friendship. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this is going to sound like a telenovela, but I promise it's my life. I, female 28, have been best friends with Mike, male 28, for 10 plus years. We're both Scorpios born a week apart and have the kind of friendship that has people constantly questioning if we're more than friends. We're not. We're siblings at this point. My family treats him like one of their own and vice versa. We've always had one rule: no touching. No hugs unless one of us is in real pain. That's how serious we've been about boundaries. When either of us gets into a relationship, we immediately introduce the partner and set the tone. My boyfriend always got along with him. His girlfriends, not so much. Only 2 ever did. Now enter her. When they started dating, she and I actually got along well. She'd call to chat, I'd visit her at work, and I was genuinely rooting for them. Especially since she stood by him when he was broke. But after they broke up, she called me to vent before he could. I stayed out of their relationship business and kept my distance out of respect. Fast forward to October 2024, my best friend got a boost in his career and he got big money. And yes, it comes with money. Suddenly, the ex slithers back into his life, except now, she's upgraded her attitude and thinks she's the queen of the council. He tells me they're back together. I'm happy for him and excited to reconnect with her. So I send her a message. Hey girl, where have you been? She goes, why do you want to know? I've been around. Come on, don't be like that. Anyways, congrats on you two getting back together. Thank you, ma'am. We've got to go shopping. Click. That was the last normal moment. Suddenly, my best friend stops talking to me. No replies, not even when I sent him an SOS text, something I've never done lightly. When I called him out for not being there for me during a crisis, I told him I'd stop trying altogether. He didn't respond. Then midnight rolls around. I get a knock on the door at 11:45 p.m. It's him, his girlfriend, and his mother. I'm already on edge because earlier that day, I'd been digitally assaulted. A stranger video called me pleasuring himself. It brought back deep trauma from when I was physically assaulted at age 6. I was not okay. The girlfriend storms in like the big bad wolf, breathing fire. She demands a meeting between my mom and his mom to interrogate our friendship. Why? Because we text, I love you bitch, and I apparently talk about guys too openly on the phone. She even deleted my SOS text because she thought it was just boy drama. Both moms shut her down hard. They told her no man would ever want to marry someone who wakes up elders in the middle of the night to feed her insecurities. That's when I snapped. I told her exactly why I had reached out that night and she went dead silent. They left without a word. During this whole hurdle, my best friend tells me they got engaged a month ago and she asked him not to tell me because seeing me would thicken her. He is now rethinking the whole relationship because of how the fiancé girlfriend reacted to our friendship. Now, she wants to apologize because the relationship is threatened, meaning no money to spend on her kid will stop altogether. But I'd rather go pat a Tita Noboa in the Amazon than hear her out. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing her apology? Not the a-hole, OP, not even a little. She didn't just cross a line, she bulldozed it. Showing up uninvited, deleting your SOS text, dragging your moms into the drama and disrespecting your trauma? That's not insecurity, that's control. She wasn't sorry when she thought she had the man and the money. Now that it's slipping, suddenly she wants to apologize. That's not genuine, it's self-preservation. You don't owe her a second of your time, so just let your best friend deal with the fallout. It's his relationship. Additional to the fact that he's a 28-year-old grown man. He should be old enough to know what he wants to do. But on your end, you've already carried more than your share. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. From Boys Bisous says, not the a-hole. I don't know why he's rethinking it and not just ending it. He was there and saw how impulsive and reactive she is. What happens if she misunderstands a text message on his phone 3 years into the marriage and he comes back with all of his stuff outside? Vegetable Business 897 says, no, the apology will be insincere. She's just worried she's losing her meal ticket, and that's exactly what I would tell everyone. And Livid You 4376 says, she deleted your SOS and was a bitch when you welcomed her back into his life. I hope your best friend sets her straight. Sounds like the moms are on your side, but is he? And OP responds, I don't know if he is. He is my boy and forever will be my boy. It's up to him to see what is really going on. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hey potatoes, it's me again. Thank you so much for all the responses and support on my last post. Honestly, I thought I was the a-hole. I've been sitting behind the bush like a lion during hunting season, watching, waiting, observing everything from a distance. And I've got an update. So it's been a month since the Midnight Madness, trademark pending, and I've kept my distance. No calls, no texts, just vibes and self-respect. That was until 2 days ago. I achieved a big win and decided to share the moment with my best friend. We had a quick celebratory call, then I organized an outing for the friend group since one of us just graduated. My best friend agreed to come, and I made it crystal clear that his girlfriend, fiancé, entanglement was not invited to avoid any drama. We scheduled the hangout for the last Saturday of the month. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Yesterday, at exactly 10:03 p.m., while I was laughing on a TikTok live, shout out to the TikTok crew, I get a call from him. Here's how it went. I go, you calling at this hour? Someone better be dead, in jail, in the hospital, or missing. I chuckled, trying to lighten the mood, and he goes, in the most defeated, cold, and distant voice, hey friend. And instantly, I knew it had to be about the woman with 100 titles. He continues, she says your name is still a problem. She's claiming we boinked and that we're in love. She's demanding I end the friendship if I want to keep her. I took a deep breath and said what had been sitting on my heart for a while. When you two first met, you were broke and she was the sweetest person I'd ever met. Now you're settled, doing well for yourself, and suddenly I'm a threat. She's judging my character without even knowing me. Do what you need to do, but don't come running when things fall apart. I won't be able to save you. He paused and said, if those are the consequences I have to bear, losing your friendship, then it's okay. Then he hung up, just like that. 10 plus years of memories, gone with a single sentence. I stared at the screen for a second, then I turned back to the TikTok live like nothing happened, because what else could I do? Yeah, I'm hurt, I'm really upset, I lost someone I've grown up with, someone who was my person, but I know my worth, and I refuse to shrink myself to make someone else feel secure in their relationship. If you ever read this, my guy, I love you, always will, but I hope she was worth it. Thank you again to all my Reddit potatoes for shedding light and reminding me I wasn't in the wrong. You're all the real MVPs. Well, it'll be good for you for how you're taking this whole thing. Of course, it's sad when you lose somebody that's important to you, like a friend this way, but people are free to make their own decisions and live with the consequences of those decisions. And it is not your responsibility to save him or anybody else for that matter. So here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit True Off My Chest, and it's by user PrettyStory9024. My roommate sent me a condescending checklist and then lost her mind when I stood up for myself. I, 22 female, live with a roommate, female 27, who, frankly, barely cleans. I'm the one who's constantly wiping counters, taking out the trash, doing dishes, cleaning up after her dog when she doesn't, all while working full-time and trying to keep the peace. I don't nitpick, I don't complain every time I clean something up. I just try to do my part and sometimes hers so the place stays livable. But the one time she finally decides to clean, and by clean I mean wipe the stove and toss out some trash, she texts me this long message while I'm at work. And this wasn't a message to have a conversation, but to give me a passive-aggressive list of reminders about wiping the stove after I use it, putting my drinks away, emptying the dishwasher before she needs it, and sticking to some decor-only counter rule that she mentioned once forever ago, like it was a binding contract. She even made a weird point to say she cleaned out oil and asparagus in the trash. Like, that was some noble act that needed public acknowledgement. The message was condescending and it honestly caught me off guard. I told her I got the message, and while I understood being overwhelmed, the delivery was unnecessary. I reminded her that I've been pulling my weight and cleaning up after her and her dogs more than she probably realizes. I said if we're going to start keeping tabs, I'll just stop cleaning up her messes too. I also said her burnout isn't mine to carry, that we both live there and I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells or be guilt-tripped just because I'm in the same space. She came back defensive, accusing me of overreacting, saying she was just asking me to pick up after myself and called me a little girl for having feelings about how she talked to me. Then we ended up fighting in person, where she kept gaslighting me, telling me I was delusional and twisting everything I said. I snapped back at her and called her a bitch. Not proud of it, that part crossed the line and I owned it. I sent her a respectful apology for the name calling. I told her I shouldn't have said that, but I stood by the boundary I was setting. I let her know I wasn't going to keep going in circles and that all I wanted was for us to live respectfully and decently, nothing more. Her response? You effed up real bad. You're going to want to bite your tongue next time, little girl. You extremely crossed the line beyond my boundaries. Keep your apology and stick it up your ass, delusional bitch. Don't stop going to therapy either. So, that's where we are now. I guess I struck a nerve. I've been trying to be the adult, do my share, and not make everything a thing. But the one time I speak up and set a boundary, I'm suddenly the problem. She acts like I'm a monster for reacting to her disrespect when all I've been doing is trying to leave peacefully in a place we both pay for. I'm tired of walking on eggshells around people who can dish it but lose their minds when it's handed back to them. I'm not perfect, but I've been fair. I've tried. And now I'm just done. Thanks for letting me get that out. OP, you've been doing more than your share, cleaning up after her and her dog while working full-time just to keep the place livable. She does the bare minimum once, then sends a condescending message like she's in charge. You called it out, set a boundary, and she responded with disrespect, mocking you, insulting you, and acting like you're the problem. That's not communication, that's controlled. You owned your one misstep, she didn't. Instead, she went off the rails and showed you exactly who she is. Someone who can dish it out but can't take it, as you said. Now it's time to be done. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Whimsy says, I've been in a similar situation. I kept everything in my room and locked it, left no mess. Then I sat my ass in the common areas whenever I was home to make it uncomfortable for them and to assert dominance. I know that's not for everyone, but I was fed up and it brought me joy to torture her. Look, I tried to communicate my boundaries from the start, but if people want to test me, I have no problem with confrontation. Fish Obsession says, I had a roommate like yours. I tried cleaning after her and not cleaning after. Doesn't matter, she never changed. I ended up kicking her out, my house. I lost a good friend all because she wouldn't take responsibility for cleaning her messes and breaking everything in my house. Some people never change and it's best to get out. And OP responds, she's been like this since we moved in, so I realized quickly that there's no compromising with her. But I also love a clean space, so I do my part as much as I can. I'm just blindsided by the way she reacted and the words she used. Heil Yourself says, clean up only after yourself and move out as soon as possible. There's a huge gap between 22 and 27, but it's not as huge as she thinks it is. Calling you a little girl is an attempt to make you think she knows better than you broadly. It reminds me of a bitter old woman upset that someone younger put her in her place. Jelly Ollie says, so I once lived in a shared house with two other girls. Right before moving in, we had a massive falling out, like never speak again type crap. They were so filthy it was hellish, without any hope of healthy communication or rule setting either. I simply stopped cleaning shared spaces anymore except for when I needed to use something. It wasn't pleasant, but it worked. Wasn't perfect either as there was still a mess, but they stepped up to do the bare minimum after they noticed the kitchen wasn't suddenly magically clean all the time. I was also willing to get petty, however, to a small degree, and I know that isn't always an option. And Nymphy98 says she feels taken back because she thought she could power play with someone 5 years younger than her, and it didn't get her where she thought it would. You stood up for yourself. Now she's playing the little girl game to try and reinforce that thought and make you feel small. F her, she's a bitch. Alright, well, the community agrees with OP that this situation sucks and that she should just try to move out. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hey everyone, first off, thank you so much for the love and support on my last post. I didn't expect it to get so much attention, and honestly, reading your comments really helped me feel less alone. Life has been chaotic, and I wanted to give an update on where things stand. A couple of days after the fight with my roommate, where she disrespected me after I apologized, I slowly started moving my stuff back into my room. One of those things was my Snapware Pyrex set from Costco. I had originally let her use it, but it's mine, and I always intended to take it with me when I moved out. Anyway, I found one of them in the fridge with some soggy chicken that had clearly been sitting there for days. It looked gross, so I tossed it. When she got home and realized I threw away her food, she got super mad. She started loudly talking crap about me on the phone to whoever she was talking to. I ignored it and just went to bed. The next morning, while I was showering and getting ready, she starts yelling at me, asking where the trash bags are. I asked which ones, because I had bought the last pack, and there was no way we had finished them. She starts gaslighting me, saying they were hers from the shop, whatever that means. I was too tired for the drama, so I just gave her the trash bags and told her not to use my stuff anymore. She flipped and said I was unbearable to live with, that I should just leave, and that she wanted me gone. So I said, you know what? Fine, I'll leave. Later that day, I went to the leasing office to explain the situation. They gave us 3 options. 1, we both transfer to separate units. 2, we break the lease early. Or 3, I drop my name from the lease, pay a fee, and she shows proof, pay stubs, that she can afford rent on her own. Later that night, she texted me asking, do you want to leave or do you want me to? I said, I'll leave. I told the leasing office and asked them to follow up with her for the pay stubs so we could move forward. That same day, I went to tour an apartment I had been eyeing. It was the exact unit I wanted, and I applied immediately. Fast forward to today, I got approved. I'm moving in tomorrow. Smiley face. But here's where it gets messy again. A few days ago, I asked the leasing office if they'd received her pay stubs. They said no, even though they'd asked her 3 times and she kept saying she'd email them. She never did. So today, I texted her again, letting her know I'm moving out and that the leasing office still needs her pay stubs. She responds, I can't. I asked, what do you mean you can't? She says she can't send them or she can't afford it, which she never expressed that she couldn't afford it. I honestly still don't know what she meant. I reminded her this was the option she agreed to, and if she wanted to stay, this is what needed to happen. I told her again, I'm moving out. If you want to stay here, that's on you. Then she says, let's just break the lease then. I told her I can't afford that, which is why we agreed I'd just leave and she'd stay. She responds, I don't care about ruining my credit. Weird smiley face. I left her on red after that. Then 30 minutes later she goes, I guess I'll have to leave too then. I honestly don't know if she's just being petty, playing games, or genuinely doesn't understand the situation. But tomorrow I'm going back to the leasing office to sort it out once and for all. My lease ends soon anyway. I feel stuck and frustrated, but I'm also ready to get out of this toxic situation. Wish me luck. Thanks again to everyone who's been following this journey. It means more than you know. Heart. Well, hopefully sorting this thing out with the lease office is not gonna be a drag and you can just get out of there and forget about this person and move on. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.